Dave Sussman here with Ricochet.com. We're still at the CPAC 2017, and I'd like to introduce everybody to Alexandra Levine. Alexandra Levine is the founder of Women for Trump in Florida and Jews for Trump in Florida. Welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, David.
Love to get your perspective on your feeling about right now geopolitically, what we heard this week regarding Israel and the support for Israel regarding from Mr. President Trump.
Well, I think what's going on is that for the first time in 8 years, we have a president who actually really supports the state of Israel and has a very strong relationship with Prime Minister Netanyahu, which we haven't had. Also, as we noticed, Prime Minister Netanyahu has a history with President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and he loves the fact that Jared Kushner is involved, that he has a wife, Ivanka Trump, who converted to Judaism through the Orthodox sect. They have 3 gorgeous grandchildren that are being raised Jewish. So President Trump takes Israel really seriously, and he loves the support, Prime Minister Netanyahu loves the support that President Trump is that the United States is finally giving Israel in the last 8 years, because we haven't had that under the Obama administration.
Prime Minister Netanyahu came to Washington just last week, and almost in an ad lib press conference, President Trump said that he's considering a one-state solution. What was your reaction to that?
Well, it was interesting because the question came up, do you want a 2-state, do you want a 1-state? You know, the issue that, as you know, it's been such a hard decision to make a 2-state solution with a group like Hamas, because the problem is that Hamas is a terrorist organization that does not support Israel, does not recognize Israel, wants to wipe the Israelis off the face of the earth. So the question is, how do you make peace with these people? So what President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu want to do is they want to settle down with Abu Mazen, which Prime Minister Netanyahu said, I've actually called Abu Mazen to let's sit down and let's work on it. If we can't work on it, then we're just going to keep building the settlements and keep doing what we're going to do, because they want to make peace with these people. But you cannot make peace with people that don't recognize you, that don't recognize, that want genocide of your religion.
Right.
And that's the main problem.
Right. And it's definitely a challenge that can't be changed overnight.
And that's why he has Jared Kushner in there,
yes.
And that's why they're going to work with Rex Tillerson, also our new Secretary of State, who's also pro-Israel as well, and we're going to get this going.
Yeah.
And the main thing about President Trump is he's America first. Well, guess what Prime Minister Netanyahu is? He's Israel first.
Yes.
He's the Jews first. So that's what's really important, that we're going to bring those two nations, and I feel instead of Israel being on the back burner now, it's going to be Israel and it's going to be the United States, and they're going to be as one.
Right.
And that's what's really important.
I'm a Jewish conservative. I don't have a lot of family and friends that are Jewish conservatives, okay? And in fact, Democrats basically own the Jewish bloc vote, although it did come down with President Trump. It came down also with Mitt Romney in 2012. But it is still a significant part of the Democratic voting bloc. How do conservative Jews talk to family and friends who immediately go to the place of, and I saw it on a Facebook page this morning, that Steve Bannon, KKK guy, and anti-Semitism, and when we know that that is true, what is the message? How do you communicate that message to family and friends?
Well, I think what the issue is from what I've seen in my years of travel, is a lot of Democratic Jews have not been to Israel, or they haven't lived in Israel, or they don't have a family member who has studied abroad in Israel. And I think as a Jew, when you go to Israel, especially Jerusalem, especially into the Holy Land, and you see the history of it, and you see the modern Orthodox community, and the Hasidic community, which is really involved or which keeps the Jewish traditions alive, I think that's the most important thing to do. And I think once they see how important Israel is, then maybe they'll see that maybe that their Democratic Party aren't the ones that really support Israel as much, that the Republican Party and the conservatives, because most Orthodox Jews and Hasidim are conservative and more Republican. I think that will also bring them together. I think it will open up a lot of minds up, because I have a lot of friends that are Reformed Jews that have always been Democrat, but then they've either done a study abroad in Israel, they either did birthright, or they lived there for a year, or they have family that lived there, and it kind of opened up their minds, and then they started becoming more religious, and they started becoming more Republican, and started to see that Jerusalem is a very holy place. You cannot divide it. Jerusalem is the the capital of Israel, that cannot be disputed territory whatsoever, and go to those settlements and talk to the Arab Israelis too that live there, that love living in Israel, that love the protection of the Israelis, and the more Republican views of the Americans that also have moved to or have made aliyah to Israel too, because I think 99% of the American Jews that made aliyah have moved, all of them voted for Trump. They kept their dual citizenship.
And I was in Israel recently, and I definitely feel that there was a huge sigh of relief when Trump was elected. There was a lot of antipathy towards President Barack Obama. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a good thing. Where can people find you?
They can find me in a couple places. So they can find me actually on my website, alexandra-levine.com. They can also Facebook me, Alexandra Levine, and they can also Twitter me, alevine20 or at alevine20 on Twitter.
Fantastic. Alexandra, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. All right, take care.
Appreciate it.